I've been a Forest fan for over 20 years, and believe me, I can't believe how badly this season has gone. From being a fan in League One to getting promoted at Wembley last season, I have to say this year is probably one of the lowest points. The amount of players that have joined is basically a meme, so today I'm going to be choosing some of them to save for a season, but in FIFA 23. To save this season, we're going to need to figure out which players we're going to build our team around. Johnson on the wing has huge potential. Freuler in midfield was a Champions League captain last year. Henderson in goal could be in the England squad. Gibbs-White in attacking midfield is Forest record signing, and captains Joe Worrall and vice-captain Ryan Yates are both Forest fans, so they'll both get as much time as possible. Almost every other player in my squad is disposable, but we're building everything around these 6 guys. The first big task we had was choosing which players to get rid of. All of these 8 players were put up for sale. With a £30 million transfer budget, we decided to spend big on a single player, Houssem Aouar. For £21 million, we had the exact player we needed in our midfield. With pre-season finished, it was all of a sudden time for our first game, which was against Arsenal. Quite an interesting fact about Forest and Arsenal is that Arsenal actually wear red, because Forest gave them kits way back when Arsenal was still getting started. That didn't stop Patrick Schick blasting one in from the edge of the box. That's literally about all that happened in this entire match. Easy 1-0 win for Arsenal and a bad start for Nottingham Forest. The second game had to go better and Forest were at home, although unfortunately the City ground isn't on FIFA just yet. An early goal there from in the 11th minute saw Forest go 1-0 up, and it looked like it was going to be a much better game. I hope you're interested in seeing a lot of penalties because this video contains about 25. Taiwo Awoniyi scored Forest's first one of the video, and what a finish it was. The game would end 2-0, Forest winning their second game of the season and already off to a better start than they are in real life. Next up was a derby game. It was actually derby in the cup. Forest were kicking off as the away team, as you would expect, and they instantly went on the attack. Running down the left, Dennis found Awoniyi. Awoniyi beat his man, and then Awoniyi took the shot straight in the back of the net, already 1-0 after just 1 minute. What a start in the cup, although no one really cares about this. 64 minutes in, David McGoldrick had a chance to equalise, but it was well saved by Henderson. Barkhausen and Niakate are 2 of the fastest players on the pitch. They did a foot race and the ball nearly bounced across the derby, but again, this was a second win in a row for Forest and they were through to the second round of the cup. Next up was a trip to New White Hart Lane, or the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where Forest would again be the away team. They would have one of the first attacks, but it was in the 77th minute. Brennan Johnson was played through amazingly by Yates, and what a goal that is, 1-0 to Forest. Harry Kane would end up equalising, but still a point away to Tottenham Hotspurs has to be judged as a good thing for Nottingham Forest. As the transfer window ended and we moved into September, Forest managed to get rid of 8 players: Cafu, Taylor, Colback, Cook, Smith and Bianconi on loan, and of course Houssem Aouar arriving from Lyon. Forest were 9th in the table. Even though it's a super early stage, you have to say we are fixing Forest. Super hyped young kid Dylan Riley also joined the academy, but you probably won't see too much of him this season, and it was time for a home match against Leeds United. There's always a bit of bite when it comes to a Forest versus Leeds clash going all the way back to the 70s, and this was no different here. They probably should have gone ahead there after a few minutes, but the next chance would be in the 70th minute for Forest. Yates and Aouar would link up before a long shot unfortunately went over the bar, but that was the end of the match. With one old rival, Leeds, getting a 0-0, next up was another old rival in Liverpool. This one's a bit more of an 80s battle rather than the 70s, but you know, with Salah up front, anything can happen for Liverpool. This was a game that had a lot of penalties in it, and here is the first one, Salah dispatching easily enough. Straight up is another penalty, this time again Salah, and guess what? He scores yet again. 2 penalties in a row. I'm not sure what this new EA Sports highlight's trying to do. Here's a third penalty in a row, and it's a hat-trick of penalties in one half from Salah. The next highlight isn't actually a penalty, so it's a rare occasion for this match. Instead, it's Salah running through one-on-one, and can you guess what happens? He chips Henderson and makes it 4 goals. 4 goals for Salah, an absolute domination, and thankfully for Forest, the next game wasn't going to be in the Premier League because it was in the Cup against Bristol Rovers. Travelling to a 3rd division team managed by Joey Barton was always going to result in penalties. It only took 40 minutes to Forest to actually get one, but if Awoniyi struck the bar, it bounced out and he couldn't score the rebound. However, he wouldn't have to wait long for his second chance, because after 50 minutes, he got a second one and this time slots it home. Forest were 1-0 up. It then took a little bit of poor defending out on the left back position. A Bristol Rovers player managed to slalom inside and they slotted it home to make it 1-1. However, Forest would get a late free kick. Renan Lodi would take it, floated in towards Dennis, who scored a spectacular bicycle kick. What a goal, probably goal of the season for Forest. Ending 2-1, Forest were through to the next round. Back in the Premier League, next up to visit Forest was Chelsea, and it was going to be yet another important game for Forest. The tackles flying in at both ends, it wasn't long until Forest got yet another penalty. With Mendy in goal, Taiwo Awoniyi would blast the ball down the middle, but Mendy would spot he was going to do it. Aubameyang became the second African penalty taker, and this time he scored a goal. Henderson couldn't do anything about that one. A late chance saw a header off the line by Scott McKenna, really good defending, but Forest didn't really deserve anything out of the game when they've missed a penalty, and the game would actually end 1-0 to Chelsea. Going back to their cup adventure, this time it was Newport County who would be heading to the City Ground. They showed they weren't just here to make up the numbers with an early chance, but Forest would have the next one. A knuckleball corner from Brennan Johnson saw the ball deflect around for quite a bit, fell to the edge of the box, and then the Welsh magician unleashed some magic with a curled ball going straight into the corner. It took a bit of luck to finally get a goal against Newport County, but the next one wasn't quite as difficult. Awoniyi ran straight through and smashed it into the corner, 2-0, and you were pretty sure that Forest were going to win the game. With 2 minutes left, there was a Newport penalty that was saved. Henderson yet again proving he could be an England goalkeeper, and the game would end 2-0. Forest were through to the semi-finals. Here's a comparison of the real life table compared to how we're doing with Forest, and you can see we're getting nearly twice as many points per game. A pretty good way of fixing the club if I say so myself. The next up was Man City. When you play against Haaland, whether you do it in real life or on FIFA, you know there's always going to be goals. He got one at the near post really early on. Next up was yet another penalty, and it was De Bruyne over this one. A cheeky Panenka found the back of the net. Forest didn't give up just then though, because they got a chance on the breakaway just after half time. Dennis pulled it across and Johnson slotted it in, and all of a sudden it was 2-1. With 12 minutes to go, there's always a chance the Forest can get back into the game, but unfortunately the whistle would blow and that would be the end of the game. A 2-1 defeat to Man City's not that bad of a result. From Manchester City to Newcastle United, they were the next team to come to the City Ground. It took just 1 minute for the first Newcastle United chance, with Isaac breaking through and smashing it past Henderson to make it 1-0 before even the second minute had finished. Alan Saint-Maximin would have the next chance, with the Forest left back being widely out of position. He managed to power one past Henderson on the one-on-one. I'm not sure what the Forest defence was doing there, but they were 2-0 down. It wasn't enough that Newcastle got a red card, the game would just end 2-0. A poor defeat yet again for Forest. But now was the big one. It was Chelsea in the EFL Cup semi-finals. Forest had already lost the away match 1-0, so they needed to get back into the fixture if they wanted any chance of playing at Wembley this season. Chelsea started with Osimhen, Aubameyang and Mason Mount up front, a really fast and tricky combination. Mount would get the first chance of the game from a free kick just off the edge of the box. He ran up, but he could only find the top of the net. As 4 times winners of the League Cup, Forest do have a bit of a history in this competition. Now they're back in the Premier League, it's their best chance of winning it for a while. However, Aubameyang had different ideas when he hit basically the perfect penalty after 27 minutes to give Chelsea a 2-0 on aggregate lead. Taiwo Awoniyi would be played through one-on-one and he would manage to beat Bettinelli in the Chelsea goal, making it 1-1, and all of a sudden Forest looked like they could possibly go through on away goals if they can just score one more. Forest pushed everyone up, even Willy Bolly was playing as a striker. As the ball was milling around, eventually Forest would lose possession, and that's exactly how Chelsea would win the game. They kept the ball for the rest of the match and Forest were out of the cup. They might not be in the cup, but they're well in the Premier League. In 17th place with 20 points, they're out of the relegation zone and Brentford have picked up from their awful start. So with only a few games left, 11 more to go, Forest now hosted Arsenal, a repeat of the opening day fixture. And guess what? Arsenal would actually get a penalty after 10 minutes. Schick sent Henderson the wrong way and they were already 1-0 behind, a bad start for Forest. With the season about half done, some of the surprisingly impressive players included Niakite and Aurier in defence, and also Taiwo Awoniyi up front, who unleashed this effort from beyond the edge of the box, beating Ramsdale. What a goal, probably the best goal we've scored, and then one of the weirdest celebrations we've had all season as well. Forest really needed the points, but yet again, there was another penalty. This time it was Schick against Henderson once again. Forest would keep the scores level. The final chance of the game fell to Ryan Yates, who had ran out to the wing, but unfortunately he couldn't do enough to beat Cedric, and the game would end 1-1. An alright result when it comes to it. You can't expect to beat the likes of Arsenal, and Forest were happy with the point. Next up was Brentford. This time Forest were playing away. And as one of the fellow struggling teams, it was good news when Awoniyi managed to break through one-on-one and then managed to slot it past the goalkeeper to give Forest an early lead. What a performance he's having this season. Taiwo Awoniyi, Forest's best attacker by far. The rest of the team is fairly average at attacking. Renan Lodi had a long shot there that was never really going to do anything. Brentford had a chance, but it missed the target altogether, and so did Dennis's last-minute power blaster. So the game would end 1-0 thanks to that early goal. Another good 3 points for Forest. After signing Thomas Muller to be their new left winger, they lined up with Muller, Nunez and Salah up front, so hopefully not another 4 goals for Salah. Well, it was actually Nunez that opened the scoring after a really good cross from Tommy Muller. If you're not sure about the rivalry between Nottingham Forest and Liverpool, it actually comes from them both being the 2 best teams in Europe and probably the world between 1979 and 1985. I think if Nottingham Forest didn't exist, you would probably see Liverpool have at least 3 more European Cups. That kind of rivalry did drive both teams on to be even better, but Forest did snatch some of the glory that Liverpool otherwise would have got. However, it's not the case on FIFA that Nottingham Forest can match Liverpool, as even though we're 1-1 with Morgan Gibbs-White, our record signing, we still can't score, and the game would end 1-0 to Liverpool after that power blast of a cross. So Forest now, with only a single game of the season left, were comfortably outside of the relegation zone. The final day was purely a battle between Southampton, Leeds, Brentford and Bournemouth, so Forest weren't really that bothered however this match would go. And that was good because it was against Chelsea, a team Forest of course have lost to 3 times already this season. In their 4th attempt, they got a chance just after the half-an-hour mark. The ball was pulled back to Freuler, but he could only hit it against Thiago Silva's legs. And guess what? Aubameyang got another penalty, and I think he scored his 6th goal against Forest in 4 games. Probably some kind of record if I had to guess. We weren't done just yet though. Dennis found Awoniyi in the box, and a good finish saw Forest equalise. No crazy celebration this time, just a normal one. In the last part of the last game, you can see Aubameyang's got 24 goals in 36 matches there. It was actually Mason Mount who would smash one in from the edge of the box. The former Derby young player has managed to beat Forest in the last game of the season. We didn't have too many chances in this final game, but I think overall we've got to be fairly proud of how Season 1 has gone. Overall, we were expected to probably finish bottom of the table. You can see some Chelsea fans celebrating there as they managed to finish in Europe. But Forest have actually managed to defy all the odds with one of the worst squads, and they finished 15th in the table. What a performance. I mean, Everton, again, they're another team up there that probably shouldn't have been. Southampton, Brentford and Leeds going down. So none of the 3 promoted teams actually getting relegated. First place was the biggest surprise, though, in my opinion, with Manchester United winning the league, scoring 11 more goals than 3rd place Manchester City. What a weird performance and what a weird league this was this season. Hopefully, you'll come back if I do decide to do a season 2. But if you did enjoy this video at all, then please do a subscribe and please do a like. Anything to help support the channel. Leave a comment if you've got any teams you think would be interesting to do a video like this on. It didn't actually take as long as you think to do the entire season thanks to highlights mode, but you can see some of the improvements our players made over this year. Hopefully dynamic potential doesn't ruin all of the work we've put in. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and like I said, and I'll probably try and do maybe another video like this very soon. But thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon. Cheers and goodbye.